Setting the standard. Why asset information standards are a strategic imperative. Every decision tied to an asset carries weight. A valve mislabeled on a P and ID, different functional groups using different terms for the same asset class, documents classified and numbered inconsistently, or a missing equipment tag may seem minor in the moment. But small lapses like these can create delays during construction, complicate commissioning, and erode efficiency once the asset is in operation. The root of these problems is almost always the same: inconsistent and incomplete information standards. Asset Information Management (AIM) standards address this challenge by defining clear expectations for how information is structured, classified, named or numbered, and maintained. With standards in place, organizations can gain a framework that brings order to complexity and consistency to decision-making. At ReVisionz, we work with clients to create AIM standards that are practical as well as rigorous. They are shaped by industry best practices, but grounded in the realities of how engineering, operations, and IT teams actually work. In the following sections, we explore why AIM standards matter, what they deliver across the lifecycle, and how to build them so they last. The cost of inconsistency. In organizations without defined AIM standards, asset information is handled differently from team to team and project to project. This can include varying naming conventions and formats, resulting in fragmented information that slows work, introduces risk and burdens already stretched teams. The downstream effects can include technicians wasting time locating specifications, manuals, or service histories, maintenance becoming reactive and based on outdated or inaccurate information, spare parts being ordered without reliable tracking, increasing downtime, projects handing over incomplete or misaligned information that operations cannot use, regulatory compliance efforts being undermined by missing or unverifiable records. Where problems show up. Tagging and P&IDs. When tagging is inconsistent across engineering, asset management, and control systems, miscommunication and safety hazards are almost inevitable. Real-world issues such as mislabeled valves, misinterpreted flow directions, or outdated P&IDs have led to equipment damage and costly downtime. That's why a consistent tagging standard is essential for safe and reliable plant operations. Document numbering and revision control. Without structured document numbering and revision management, simple tasks are difficult. Teams waste time searching for the right version, errors multiply, and outdated information causes costly rework. In one chemical plant, inconsistent labeling led to a valve being installed incorrectly and required control system rewiring, all of which could have been avoided with clear standards. The bigger picture. Over time, the absence of standardized information erodes alignment between engineering, operations, and IT. Teams lose confidence in the data they rely on, and collaboration gives way to ad hoc workarounds. AIM standards resolve these challenges by establishing clear rules for how information is created, maintained, and shared. With them, information becomes a trusted advantage instead of a constant obstacle. What AIM standards deliver. Standards in AIM provide a common framework for all stakeholders, ensuring consistent naming, tagging, and numbering of assets. They define what EPCs and vendors must deliver and in what format, supporting operations and maintenance while reducing errors, confusion, and rework. Without standards, information becomes inconsistent and unreliable, whereas well-defined standards create a trusted foundation for compliance, decision-making, and lifecycle management. AIM standards establish the foundation for managing asset information with consistency, traceability, and long-term relevance. They define how information is created, organized, and maintained so that it remains reliable as it moves through the many stages of the asset lifecycle. By aligning how information is structured from the start, AIM standards reduce rework and improve collaboration between teams and systems. And when asset information is consistent, operations and maintenance teams can act with confidence. Key outcomes include lower maintenance costs through reduced rework and faster execution, shorter audit cycles and stronger compliance posture, fewer safety incidents and operational disruptions, increased efficiency and alignment across capital projects and operations. This level of consistency will be critical for auditability and compliance. When AIM standards are implemented effectively, they establish what information must be retained and how it should be organized to support long-term traceability. That information will be connected through shared identifiers and governed by a common framework, making retrieval and review more efficient. With this structure in place, organizations have the ability to accelerate decision-making, improve regulatory reporting, and reduce the risk of critical gaps. By embedding structure into every phase of the asset lifecycle, AIM standards create a system of continuity. They help organizations move past the friction of manual data searches and into a mode of proactive decision-making in which asset data can serve as a strategic resource. Build standards that work. Data governance. Many organizations struggle with data governance because they lack a clear vision of what good actually looks like. Without well-defined standards or measurable benchmarks, it is difficult to profile data, evaluate quality, or track progress. The result is often the same: inconsistent practices, gaps in accountability, and missed opportunities to use data as a true strategic asset. The way forward is to establish a governance framework that sets clear expectations, defines measurements, and outlines processes that everyone can follow. Strong data governance gives structure. It creates the policies, roles, and standards needed to keep information accurate, consistent, secure, and accessible throughout its lifecycle. With this foundation, organizations can make faster decisions, strengthen compliance, improve efficiency, and build trust both inside and outside the business. Without it, accountability weakens and valuable opportunities slip away. Assessment to alignment. Once we've defined the current state, we work with subject matter experts and document owners to align on the way forward. Where standards can be strengthened, we refine them. Where inconsistencies are too great, we develop a unified framework that replaces outdated or conflicting practices. Drafts are refined through structured reviews and validation workshops to confirm that expectations are clear, practical, and aligned with business needs. The result is a set of standards that are purpose-built and grounded in operational realities. Designed for adoption. Even the most technically sound standard has limited value if it's not adopted. That's why rollout planning begins early, with change management embedded throughout the process. ReVisionz tailors each deployment based on scope, whether enterprise-wide or asset-specific, and builds stakeholder ownership into each phase. A train-the-trainer model is used to build internal capability and confidence. When standards are deployed in parallel with new AIM systems, we align timing and configuration to avoid disconnect. Initial rollouts typically focus on high-impact assets or programs, then expand as internal alignment grows. This approach results in standards that are actively integrated into daily workflows, aligned with system configurations, and capable of supporting accurate maintenance, reliable handovers, and confident regulatory reporting. Sustaining standards for the long term. Sustaining AIM standards over time depends on internal ownership, meaningful engagement, and the ability to evolve with changing business and technology needs. From the outset, ReVisionz involves the people who will be responsible for applying and maintaining the standards. Their early participation grounds the work in real-world requirements and builds alignment across teams. Training is purpose-built to reflect the actual tools and information structures teams will use, and it prepares subject matter experts to manage and adapt the standards over time. This approach helps embed the standards into daily operations rather than treating them as a parallel process. To remain relevant, AIM standards must also be adaptable. As organizations adopt AI, implement digital twins, or integrate new systems, the underlying information model must remain structured and connected. We design standards that support this evolution, enabling long-term value, system interoperability, and continuous improvement. Standards as a catalyst for change. AIM standards provide the structure organizations need to avoid wasted effort, repeated work, and unreliable information at the moments that matter most. They define how information flows across systems, how teams interact with it, and how that information supports both day-to-day execution and long-range planning. ReVisionz empowers organizations to make that shift. We develop durable operational frameworks that align asset information with the way projects are delivered and maintained over time. We engage the right people, map standards to real-world workflows, and guide adoption in a way that builds confidence and momentum. Our experience spans industries, systems, and organizational digital maturity levels. But what sets us apart is our ability to make information structure a working part of your business. Built on the foundation of structured information, transformation begins with the right standards, and ReVisionz guides organizations through that journey with the insight and discipline needed to turn complexity into a lasting advantage. To learn how we can support your asset information strategy, get in touch with our team.